I don't know if this is working. Let's fucking go. King of the Hunt already in here. Love it. All right. It's like I'm doing like spinny circle. This tells you how much my tech knowledge is. But so let me know if you guys can see or hear me, in which case because I wouldn't know what to do. So let's just hope everyone can see and hear me. But welcome to Thoughts. I don't know what episode this is, but Thoughts with Thoughts, I go through like a big revamp. It's going to become a real podcast very soon. And I'm going to have it like available in different places, have guests and everything. But thank you for everybody that's been bearing with me with what we got going. And I appreciate you guys showing up every week. All right, great. Looks like you guys can hear me. Perfect. So first things first, I will not be doing a live OnlyFans page after this. I got somewhere to be. So I'm going to move the live to live, but it's later. I only what time usually Monday, like back-to-back Monday stream. I'm going to do. I can't time that usually can't make the day. All right, I'm all laggy. Let's see. Go to my private chat. Charging. How about now? I do need a tech nerd. Still better? Better. Okay. Well, let's just hope and pray because my laptop was like updating before, and then it said it wanted to update the new window, and I was like, no. So okay, better. Oh my god, there's a lot. Hi, drizzle dripping. Hi, everybody. I'm just talking to the ones that usually come every week because I know y'all, but I'm glad all of you are here. Hi. Today's going to be heavily discussion based. So where do you need to be later? Oh, it's just a thing for a friend, but it's going to start. Like I basically have to change and get ready right after this. So I'm going to move the OnlyFans live to a later time in the week, but I ran a poll on my OnlyFans seeing what time you guys usually prefer. I know I have some international fans who DM me. I've had people who work Monday nights and they're like, I never make the Monday night lives because I work. And so this is an exception week for people that if that's you and you feel like you can't make any of my OnlyFans lives usually, because they're usually on Mondays right after this, then you should send me a message or participate in the poll. And I will try to accommodate that at least for this week. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I go live here and then I go live on my OnlyFans. So here we talk, we're like, nice, responsible, productive adults. And then we go on my OnlyFans and we get freaky. That's what it is. And if you've been there, you already know we hold nothing back. And yeah, but today we're just going to do this. And then later in the week, we're going to do that. First time ever here on Twitch. Jasmine. Oh, thank you. Okay, when I'm free after cleaning, can I ask you a question? Yes. BG content. Yes, I do have BG content on my page. But I'm not here to answer a bunch of questions about OnlyFans because I don't think I'm allowed to. But you guys can message me. Also, I've had a lot of traffic to my OnlyFans page in the past 48 hours because of that Business Insider piece. So I am working on getting through the messages, but there's a lot of them. So you got to bear with me. It's going to be like a 24-hour, sometimes wait for a response. Don't try to let it get worse than that, but I'm working on it. But besides that, today I wanted to talk about, and today I wanted to be really discussion based. So I was going to do, the glow up. Yeah. But I'm really happy that we still have our little Twitch community of people. I was going to say your interview appeared on my Google News. So you guys don't even know the amount of people because, a lot of my old law colleagues read Business Insider. So There was like other attorneys I used to work with that are like, hey, I just saw this. And they had no idea really what I ended up doing. Like they just thought I quit. And now they know. And they're like, I mean, everyone's been really supportive, at least the ones that texted me, I'm assuming, you know? So that's been really cool, but I've had a lot of traffic over to my page, which is a great thing. But we are trying to adjust to the extra volume at the moment. What type of law did you study? So you don't really study a particular kind of law when you go to law school. It's just 3 years, and then you can go into like a specific practice area and you kind of learn there. Now you can get like a certificate, like if you wanted to do tax, you get like a tax certificate or whatever, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people, your first year classes are determined for you, and then their second and third year, you do classes that you think are going to be on the bar, well, you know, are going to be on the bar, and then whatever you're interested in. That's generally the case. So, but today, so it's actually related. Today's topic, I was going to do one on sex. What actually, and I was going to like do a bunch of research on sex and what actually leads to good sex. I was reading a bunch of, you know, what a lot of sex experts, sex therapists, etc. say. And I'm still working on that. I didn't get to finish it before today because of everything that's been going on. So that will be next week if you're interested in that. But today I wanted to talk about, I've seen a lot, one in the law school realm, that less and less people are going to law school. They're experiencing a decline, but also at the same time, oh, my sister just texted me, you just came up on my Twitter feed. Girls going viral. Yay, law school, the bane of my existence. Yeah. And sorry guys, I gotta see this. From a bar exam guy I follow, lol. All right, anyways. I've also seen a lot of stuff going on, or I've seen a lot of articles being published about college, like, and how less and less people are going to college, and people don't really value a college degree anymore. And I was just really thinking, because, you know, if you don't know my story, which I'm sure most of you do, I am a licensed attorney. I went to law school. I graduated in the year 2021, took the bar exam. I passed, and I worked at a firm for about 6 months. And then I quit to be an OnlyFans star. So a lot of people are like, well, was that a waste? Do you regret getting your degree? How do you feel about, you know, the fact that you're a lawyer, but you don't practice, I guess, in the traditional sense? Now, my license is still active and I do still do work here and there, but it's not how I make a living, and I'm not working at any particular firm. No, my sister is not on OF2. She is a goody, big law. Let her do her thing. Is your sister still subscribed to your OF? No, she's not. Not to my knowledge. Who knows? But, you know, people always say like, well, how do you feel about the fact that you have a degree, even though you didn't really use it? And a lot of people have the experience of not using their degrees, whatever they majored in college, etc. But it's more rare to go through higher education and then pretty much immediately after not use your degree in the way that you thought you would. So I get that question a lot, and I just want to like kind of open up a discussion on getting a degree and then also education, because I do think they're different, and I don't have an answer on whether a degree is worth it. So I didn't come on here to be like, this is the answer, it's worth it or it's not worth it. I don't know. Education, however, I think is worth it, but education doesn't have to come in the form of a degree. But and for me, but you have something to develop in the future. Did you take the LSAT more than one time? No, I don't take tests more than one time, baby. I'm good at tests, but I hate it. So it was like a one and done. Same with the bar. I was like, I'm telling y'all now, if I don't pass this time, I'm not sitting here for another 16 hours. And I passed, thankfully. But yeah, no, we don't retake here. My moderator just said, did 6 years of chemistry education to be my assistant? Well, you know what? Being my assistant is way more fun than chemistry, in my opinion. But a lot of people, I mean, we've seen it. A lot of people don't use their degrees. So does that mean degrees are pointless? Now, let's get one thing out of the way. When it comes to why you're getting a degree, a lot of times it involves an investment that you're making to get a job. Now, in that situation, especially with how much they cost and how much debt people go into, that is obviously a calculation that you need to consider, and you need to be like, well, is this worth it? And in a lot of those situations, I think more and more people are realizing it's not worth it. And a lot of times, I think in those cases, now it depends what it is. Like if you're going to go be a neurosurgeon or a heart surgeon, I would like my heart surgeon to have gone through, you know what I'm saying? But for a lot of like a business degree or whatever, I think a lot of people are realizing, and I agree, that for some things like just hands-on experience, maybe an apprenticeship, trade school, these are really great options that you can use to actually, if your goal is, I want to do this, and this is why I would be going to school, then you can make that determination for yourself. I think certain STEM degrees no longer require the traditional PhD route. Depends on where you live to. I even heard some law schools are getting rid of the LSAT. I even remember like during the pandemic when a lot of law schools went pass fail. I remember I was like, oh, that's fine. And then when I heard some medical schools went pass fail, I'm like, wait a second. We don't really have to know what we're doing, but like you guys have to know what we're doing. Uh, so it's always, we want everyone else. It's like, you need to be really educated. You need to know what you're doing, but like, I don't really, education is really important, but I don't think degrees in general really showcase any one person's ability to, can we throw these comments up when I read them? Because in the I don't actually know how the replay works, but education is really important, but I don't think degrees in general really showcase any one person's ability to do a job, not counting specific higher degrees like medicine. Yeah, I agree. And I will say, like, I was somebody that very much didn't like to like go be in like hands-on experiences. Like I did externships and internships because I had to, but I liked very much just sitting behind the desk and filling out shit because I'm good at that. And I didn't really have like a passion to be like in the field of whatever. I always knew that. But a lot of times, at least the way law school works is like, they really value like just what you can do on paper. And there's certain firms will only take the top percentage of the class, depending on what school you went to, what firm you want to go to. And it's like a very and then you get these people that just go into things and they have a fancy degree and they have a great, perfect, GPA and everything, and they don't know what's happening. And I think a lot of fields are experiencing that. I'm like all over the place because I do have things I want to say, but I'm also I really want to engage with your guys' comments. I'd say law is the most flexible degree, costly and sometimes a chore, but there's a few avenues not open to you. Yeah, I would say a law school is a JD is very flexible in my case. I am still astonished that my law school has not called me to come speak to the 1Ls on how creatively you can use your Juris Doctor. Waiting for the call. I think I should be a guest speaker. I know we joke. I joke with some of my friends from law school yesterday that like, I have probably raised the median because, they always try to tell you, oh, this is how much you can make after like the average median income 3 years after graduation. I'm like, I kind of raised that, from my sex work. My school should go up in rankings. They should give me a call, but they haven't. A lot of value of a 4-year degree, especially at more elite institutions, is in the networks you get access to and the connections you make. Yes. And I do think another reason I want to talk about this, which if we have time, we can get to, is there has been I feel like anti-education push that's been embedded in like the culture wars we're experiencing right now, between the two political parties or just people in general, with the big craze over critical race theory. And a lot of people almost making, especially I think with the pandemic, it's become like, oh, don't trust the experts, don't trust people. Oh my God, if you go to Ivy League college, it's terrible and you're stupider and it's all indoctrination. And we hear that especially from the right wing, which I think is really sad. Not to say there are no problems in our education system or in Ivy League schools or that experts are always the end all be all, but to throw away reading and education and being an expert in something, which is valuable, I think is not the way to go, right? Or even in the like online world, like we have these people like Andrew Tate that become really famous to say that reading books is for stupid people and smarter people like learn. It's just not how it works. So seeing this big anti-education craze has been really scary and disheartening. Not saying that being an educated person or going to a specific school necessarily makes you smarter. That's not what I'm saying. But in certain things, I think that it matters. And I think, was it Harris who just got in trouble for this? He said something on Twitter about like, do your own research is good, but not everyone is qualified to do their own research. And he got a lot of backlash for that. I kind of agree with that. Like I'm a law graduate. I don't know how to read. I majored in psych before that, but so I have a bachelor's and everything, but even me, these like really intense papers, like studying effects of vaccines and whatever, like it's hard for me to comprehend that. Like it's very hard. Like I can, but it takes me a long time. I have to read the whole thing, etc. And I probably don't understand. Like I can maybe after that understand maybe 50%. I would have to then look at previous studies that it had reference, and then what am I going to do? Go through all the like, and so, and I'm an educated person. So thinking of like a random Joe Schmo in the middle of America, how can they really do their own research in like full, like to the max capacity, right? They can't. I'm not saying don't do your own research, but you're not going to understand the intricacies of medicine and science and that whole field if you don't understand it. I don't understand it. You don't understand it. This person. So a lot of times I think we need a mix of deferring to the experts, but also just looking and seeing what we can find and comprehend without thinking that we know better. And another thing I think is interesting about education, if you guys remember from my conspiracy theory stream I did a while ago, educated people are far less likely to believe in conspiracy theories because they have developed a sense of cognitive complexity. And there's a lot of reasons why people think that could be, not because they're necessarily smarter, but maybe because they're able to discern what an actual legitimate source is and what isn't. Maybe they're more used to doing research. But I do want to emphasize that you don't need to go get a degree to do that. In fact, I think education is, you have to want it, right? A lot of us have classes or gotten degrees where we didn't even care. We cram before the exam and then none of the information retains. Whereas some people, they don't even get a degree, but they're really interested in something and then they pursue it. And they read about it and they learn about it and they become very well versed in it. And education is also a lifelong thing. It's not like, oh, I got my degree, I'm stopping now. So, all right, I'm behind on the comments. So let me get to those. Lots of medical. Okay, so lots of medical / this is from my psychiatric are kept through jargon. It is purposely written to be difficult to comprehend. I think that could be true to a degree, but at the same time, I do think that people who have like dedicated their lives to this probably know more, obviously, than people who haven't. That doesn't mean that they're always right. And there's disagreement within the community, which then becomes like our job to be like, okay, like, what is this person saying? What is this person saying? There are a lot of books you can read that are written in a way that's supposed to be accessible to us. But yeah, you're right. Those papers are not written to be accessible to the public. They're written just like, and I will say my example as a lawyer, we look at like, Westlaw, whatever we're looking at. And like when the Roe v. Wade decision came out, or not Roe v. Wade, Dobbs, overturning Roe v. Wade, a lot of people who aren't lawyers did not understand even if you read Dobbs, which most people wouldn't read Dobbs, even I didn't read all of Dobbs. They don't understand the history, right? You're not going to be able to understand that unless first you have to understand the Constitution. That's the base layer. You have to understand what rights are enumerated, what's not enumerated. Then you have to learn about substantive due process. And then you have to learn about the entire kind of cases before that, Griswold, Casey, Roe v. Wade, and finally getting to Dobbs. You wouldn't understand Dobbs unless you had done all of that, which you're forced to do in a law school setting. If you're not in a law school setting, unless you're just a very interesting person and you wanted to sit there and look at all that. Now, when Dobbs came out, could you have sat there and done your research and been like, okay, substantive due process, this is what it means, right to privacy, that is sports. Am I back? Okay. So you're like, yeah, you could look at it, and then I'm sure a lot of people who did ended up learning, okay, this is the right to privacy, basically what it is, etc. But unless you have a full understanding, you're not going to know as much as, let's say, I would know in that context. There's plenty of context of things I don't know, like how the fuck to fix the stream. So I do think there's that aspect of it. Let me see. All right, we got a lot of comments. And then I'm going to talk about whether I regret my degree. Let's see where I ended up. Sorry. OnlyFans. Yeah, this isn't an OnlyFans stream. That usually comes later, but not today. I guess people that try to copyright your content are going to be fucked. I mean, I do takedowns, but like all of us do. But sometimes I just let it go because the stuff okay, my leaks are so weak. Like every time I see my leaks, it's like someone leaked something from like August of 2021 like the shittiest nude, I'm like, you guys can have it. I have thousands of pieces of content on my OnlyFans, so nobody's about to leak all of that, you know. Oh, okay, I'm way far up. I'm a scientist without. Okay, wait, let me read this one. In my opinion, if people are going, sorry, my moderator's like, where are you? I am at River AJ 1931. 6:43 p.m. Pacific. In my opinion, if people are going to college, it should be for a STEM-related career. I know that some people are getting skills to get jobs like electricians, plumbers, etc. from technical colleges, were essential careers. And yeah, and you can actually make really good money doing that, like going to trade school and learning something like that. If that's, I think that can be way more useful economically and financially than going to get a 4-year degree. Treacherously, I love you. Treacherously's in the chat. Let's give it up for Treacherously. His commentary is always A1. Honestly, all of you guys, my Twitch people, like I hope I don't ever blow up and get my Twitch stream full of people that aren't you guys, because I love you guys. Okay. I'm a scientist without an advanced degree, just sort of kept at it after my bachelor's because I love work rather than PhD in my field. I'm picking up skills such as, I don't even know, bioinformatics that end up more lucrative and help me creatively. That's really cool. Yeah. So I will say, since I graduated and since I quit, now I'm really intellectually curious, and my intellectual drive is not fulfilled if I were to just get on here and do news. I love news. I love getting naked for you guys. I love getting fucked on camera, to be quite honest with you, but it's not intellectually stimulating. So that's why I do these streams. And that's why I read more. I read more than I have ever read. I did not read a book for fun all throughout college and law school, not one, because I was behind on reading that I had to do for my grades. So I was like, why the fuck would I, you know? And I know that's not everybody, but for me, I was like, I read so much now for school that I want to watch TV if I have time, you know? So let's see. Since your career is currently considered little taboo, your law schools hasn't. Yeah, probably. I mean, they probably don't even know. It depends who knows. I don't know. The drizzle drip in responding to River AJ. I agree in part with what you said about 4-year STEM degrees, though I do think a general 2-year education does help with making people better able to decipher and understand information, how to properly do research. All right, here is my thing with getting degrees. You shouldn't get it if it's going to not get you to the career that you want, or you don't want to do the career and it's going to be a financial burden. Now, in my case, I was lucky enough that I didn't have to take out any loans like in undergrad or anything, because my parents helped me with it. And then in law school, I got a full ride. So in my situation, I didn't. And to be quite honest, I make good money on OnlyFans. I could have, paid off those loans now, but that's obviously not the case for everybody. So for me, it was like a time thing. So I think of it as, did I waste my time? And that's not usually what people think of so I know that this is a unique situation to me. And I would say no, because I do think sometimes going through a hard program like that will teach you things that you're not going to get on your own. So I always even think now, even maybe, when I'm 40 and you guys don't want to see my titties anymore because they're to my knees, then I might go get a PhD just for myself, because I want to be challenged in that way. I want to be forced to write a paper when I don't want to write a paper. I want to be forced to learn, forced to develop a thesis and work on it, because I'm never going to do that if I don't have that push. And part of, I think, school is making you do shit you don't want to do, and pushing you in those ways that you wouldn't ever push yourself, like a personal trainer, right? When you can go to the gym by yourself and you can do a lot. I need a trainer. I need somebody to push me. I'm not going to push myself as hard as a trainer is. And I think with school and degrees, you're not going to sit there and write a paper just because you feel like writing a paper. Some people do, but a lot of us don't. And sometimes that push, what I would get out of a PhD if I was forced to do what I need to do to get one, I wouldn't do on my own. Now, that doesn't mean that would make me smarter. It doesn't mean it would put me in a better position in society necessarily. Probably not. And I could learn just as much, if not more, on my own too. So I think it's a personal decision for everybody. And outside of the job prospects, economic, super expensive, ridiculously expensive part of it, if we took all that out, I always think it's crazy when people say it's okay, for instance, philosophy. Everyone thinks getting a philosophy degree is a waste of your time, because what are you going to do with a philosophy degree? That's true. If you are going to college and you're spending you're paying crazy amount of money to get a philosophy degree, and you come out of college and you don't have a job now, and you have all this debt. Probably not the best idea. But what does philosophy actually teach you? In fact, LSAT scores, for those of you who don't know, LSAT is this exam you take before law school, and your score on it will heavily determine kind of what law school you can get into. And the LSAT is an exam that tests your logic. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to study the law, nothing like that. It tests your ability to reason and logic. The majors that do the best on the LSAT are philosophy majors, which is interesting. So a lot of people actually, if you know you're going to go to law school, and you be a philosophy major, because you will learn those things. You will learn how to think. You will learn how to analyze. You will go deeper when you study philosophy, because it's the questions of like life pretty much. And you will have to do thought experiments, logical fallacies, et cetera, kind of learning almost how to argue, how to think. And that's another thing people say about law school. It doesn't teach you the law. It teaches you how to think. And I agree with that. It teaches you, okay, here's rule, analysis, conclusion, counter argument, conclusion, distinguishing facts, and what facts are analogous, what can I distinguish, how can I get to the point, like being persuasive. These are things that you learn in law school that doesn't really even have to do with, these are the 4 elements of negligence, I always say, like, for instance, the bar exam, I feel like is just a hazing experiment, because we never have to memorize the law in real life, but for the bar exam, it's a closed book test you got to memorize. And I think, however, you learn how to take an exam like that. You learn how to organize all that information, how to retain all that information. These are skills that are useful and will follow you forever. Nobody can really take away your education. Nobody can take away your ability to do that, no matter what. So, but that doesn't mean I think we should all go to law school so that we learn how to organize information for the bar exam. You know what I'm saying? So do I regret it in my circumstances? No. But would I tell somebody, everyone should go to law school? In fact, if someone said, this random person is asking that, I would say likely the answer is no. But in certain situations, the answer could be yes. Like, if you want to be a lawyer, go for it. That was kind of my spiel. Okay. Governments don't benefit. I know I'm really behind on comments. So I'm just going to go through comments. Hopefully I can catch up. Governments don't benefit from an educated populace. So that's actually interesting, because the right wing right now thinks that the governments want us to all get educated so they can indoctrinate us in schools. So conspiracy type of thinking from them, which is not unusual. My take is that it's ridiculous that at least in the US, we're legally mandated to go to school for 12 years, but we're pretty much expected to spend extra money in another 4 years of your life doing something you may or not want to do to have a decent paying job. I think we should be asking why we leave high school after 12 years without having any useful employable skills instead of wondering. I think this is a good point, especially the money aspect, and the fact that, and it is true, no matter what, people say, you will, like, for the stats we have right now, people that go to college do end up on average getting paid more and having more job prospects. I don't think that necessarily should be the case, and maybe it's changing a little bit, but it still seems to be depending on what you go in for. And I will admit that I am kind of skeptical of some of the, like, before, the only degree that seemed useless a lot of times in college was like philosophy degree. Now they have like degree in like Beyonce, like dance theory. And so I'm like, I mean, sure, but if you're surprised you're not going to have a job after, like, you have to know that there's nobody that's like, what I need somebody that's an expert, like, at like intersectional this or whatever. Like, I don't know if there should be full degrees for that. I got my degree in psych and a minor in political science before I went to law school, and we had to learn about all that stuff too, but it wasn't like the whole degree. My question is on your sex work. If you enjoy doing OF for a long time, would you ever tell children that may be yours in the future? Yeah. I'm not ashamed of sex work. I don't think sex work is anything to be ashamed of. So when people ask me this to try to be like, what about your kids? I've said this before. First of all, I don't want kids till I'm like at least like 5 to 10 years from now. And then they would have to be old enough for me to tell them, or for them to find us. So let's say they're at least 10 years old. They're not going to be 3 years old, like coming on my OnlyFans and being scarred. So this is now something that's 10, like 15, 20 years down the line. Who knows? We didn't even have iPhones 15 years ago. Who knows what the state of the internet, AI and stuff is going to be by then? I'm sorry. I'm not going to I'm not going to not run up the bag now so that my fake hypothetical children I may or may not have, what they'll think in the year 2045. It's just not how I'm going to live. And also, even if they did find it, I'm not ashamed of it. And I also think by then society is going to change a little bit with its idea of sex work, just like we've changed a lot in the past 20 years. I say for the better in many ways. Some people say for the worse. I also think the term higher education is pretentious, as if other forms of education are underneath as a college degree. I guess, but it's like, how else would you, what else would you say? I think it makes sense because you're going higher. Like you went to college for 4 years and now you're going, getting your graduate school or whatever type of school, you are going a step higher. And it's not easy. So people that do it, I think that doesn't mean people who don't do it are any worse or they're not smart or whatever, but people work really hard in law school, in medical school, in any type of graduate school. So they do that extra mile to become better at their craft, or in certain cases to even be able to do the craft, like being a lawyer or a doctor. There's also a lot of background knowledge / context, and that's far more than anyone wants to do where the result isn't obvious. Yeah, I get that. All right, next, treacherously. I always love treacherously. The sad part of the don't get an education narrative is that a lot of the best institutions will pay in-need students completely. I graduated, no loans, no debt, on a full ride because I cared to investigate what was good for me when I was in high school. Obviously, you need a good home life to be that proactive as a kid. Yeah, guys, my parents used to instill this in me, and I'm going to admit, like, I was like, they're like, you need to look for opportunities, look for experiences, and I mean, part of the reason I didn't also do it is because I knew they would take care of it. They just were like, well, instead of find someone, I was like, "What's she gonna pay for it?" Okay, I gotta put my charger back in. But I am coming from such a privileged position, and so when I say, I don't know why Twitch doesn't like me play. But there are, a lot of those, especially nowadays. I mean, that's kind of also the pushback people are giving to Ivy League schools, is that it's not a meritocracy anymore because they're not admitting students based on to the extent that they're saying it is. I think people that get into these schools are qualified to get into these schools. It's not that because you're Latino and you got into the school, you don't deserve to be there because they only brought you in for that. But that's a completely different discussion. But yeah, there are a lot of avenues available. But yeah, like you said, it's not easy, especially I can say I didn't even have that initiative and I had every tool available to me. I can't imagine if I came from a background where no one went to college, like my mom was a lawyer, like nobody went to law school, that you would have to be a very, very, very extraordinary person that you would want to go out and be hungry enough and go look for that. So treacherously, you seem like you are. I can just tell you were but I wouldn't expect that of somebody. I'm not one of those people that's like, well, you should do that. Like, I wouldn't even do it. And I have the experience I have, much less, somebody who came from not as privileged background as me. At a certain point, we all need to accept that empirical evidence is a global collective effort and one person can't expect to literally know it all. Yes, especially your Uncle Jim in his basement reposting statistics and memes on Facebook. He does not know it all. None of us really know it all. Cognitive complexity, you mean capable of non-black and white thinking? It's much simpler than that. Well, no, I think what I remember from the research that I did is that people, and I get this, right? Like if you have been scarred by having, like in law school, we literally need a reference after everything that we say that isn't pure opinion. And if it's pure opinion, we have to say it's pure opinion. Anything else, we need a reference. And so when you've been scarred by having to have a reference for every single thing that you say that is legitimate, you're going to be less likely to watch Alex's Jones's video and be like, oh, seems legit. You're going to be like, that's not, or see a tweet or see whatever on somebody's something and be like, oh, you're gonna kind of be able to differentiate what's real, what's not real. You're going to understand how to do research better than somebody who has never had that experience. You're going to be a little bit better equipped for that. But at the same time, there are plenty of people who don't have college degrees at all that are not falling for this shit either, right? So it doesn't mean just because educated people are less likely to, it doesn't mean that if you're not educated, you absolutely are a conspiracy theorist, and if you, or whatever, and if you are educated, then you're absolutely not. But we do see a relationship. I wish someone would have just plucked me out of school as a kid and made me a scientist apprentice. I think that would I think apprenticeships are so underrated. I think that is probably the best way to learn. And treacherously, I don't even want to know what kind of things you would have cured cancer by now. LMAO, I'm thinking back to your OF stream where you had to fake teach the stream. Yeah. When my dad was home last time on the last stream because he was helping me move, and he could obviously hear me, but he couldn't see me. So we had to pretend we were talking about shit that we weren't talking about. And I was just doing my thing. It was interesting. Hazard Stin, one of our favorites. All right, so he's responding to treacherously. I'm so sorry, I'm so behind on this. You guys probably hate me, but I'm going to try to catch up. My family upbringing was to disdain higher education and independently educate yourself so you could think for yourself. That's all well and good, but at times I missed out on a lot of critical education opportunities because my dad convinced me I could attain it on my own. I think this is a good point, and kind of what I was pointing at earlier with the backlash that, I believe it was Harris that got, which he deserves backlash for many things, but I didn't think this one was one of them, where it's you can do a lot on your own. You really can. But I think especially the more complex an area is, and I think for instance, with medicine and science and vaccines and stuff, it's very complex. And you Googling in your, room, you can find out a lot of vital information, but, you're not going to be able to fully understand the science behind this unless that is what you do. And it's really interesting to me that you see scientists all the time not touch other areas of science that they don't know anything about, which is interesting because they're still scientists. But if you're a physicist and somebody's talking about biology, or, oh, I don't know about that, or chemistry, oh, I don't know about that. And they are so quick to be I don't know, even though they are so educated in a different field of science. Whereas you see people who have no education in science at all, that they're I know this. And it's you don't. And sometimes we have to accept I don't know. So climate change, for instance, I am going to defer to what the scientists are saying on climate change. And I can maybe try to read some papers and understand some papers, but I'm not just going to look outside and be well, it's not change. From my research, it's just not, I'm not going to be able to understand that. I can't go research. I can't go do a study on climate change myself. I have to defer to what's already out there. And that's something that I feel it's the less educated you are, almost the more you think you know, right? I've said this quote from Socrates a few times on this. It's the only wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. And I do find that people that are, this may be just anecdotal, people that are the least equipped to give an opinion always seem the most ready to give an opinion. Whereas the people who you expect, oh, what's your opinion on this? And they're oh, I don't know, because you realize how much you don't fucking know when you're smart enough to realize that. All right. I've seen earlier videos where you talked about how you want to use your degree to help out others and you could possibly help out OF. Yeah, I do. So that's another thing is when you have a set of skills, and you don't have to acquire that through a degree. You could do it through an apprenticeship. You could do it through an internship, externship, anything. My moderator just said, oh, I got this degree and now I work. But even working for me is a skill. He may have learned something about social media. Anything that you do or anything that you acquire is a skill that you now have. So it's not even the degree, although I say in the real world, sometimes you need a degree or you have to make yourself more competitive in order to get a job. But outside of that, anything that you learn, especially if it was hard to learn, you now know something that's difficult that other people do not know. So for me, there's maybe many things that are difficult for people that I understand they don't understand, but there's a lot of simple things that I don't understand about life. Sorry, that was a random tangent. I'm going to skip the comments not relevant because I'm behind. I like okay, so this is King of the Hunt replying to Hazard Stint. I like the idea of being self-taught because you're attempting to be understood willingly as opposed to being forced to learn and understand things. There's merits to both. Yes. So I feel like if you are going to go get a degree or you are going to do it in something you want to learn anyway. Do it in something you want to learn anyway. So I didn't really know. I knew I wanted to go to law school, but I knew law school would accept any kind of, it doesn't matter what you major in. They just look at your GPA, your LSAT score, and you as a person. Oh my God, do I need to sneeze? But I liked psychology because, as you guys can probably tell, I'm interested in psychology because half of my streams are about something related to psychology. And I'm like, well, I like this and I'm going to like it forever. And whatever I learn is, I'm not going to be like, oh, I hated it. Now, if I went and got a degree in physics, I hate physics. I still remember high school physics. I would be pissed that I went through so much fucking hell and I hated every second of it and I didn't want to learn it and I just did what I had to do to pass the exams, which is what we do, all of us do sometimes. You know, there's not every subject is going to be interesting to you. But now that I I'm researching kind of psychology on my own in my spare time as a sex worker almost, so I can come talk about it with you guys or just for my own interest. I really want to learn these topics. There's no exam I need to take at the end, but if I don't understand something, I look it up and I look into it and I have full control and I can make sure that whatever I'm looking into, I'm actually interested in. So continuing your education yourself is also really great. And it helps you live longer. Me and Hatherson talk about your cognitive reserve. Keeping yourself intellectually challenged will help you prevent dementia, Alzheimer's. Like, it'll just keep your brain sharp. And it's one of the reasons that sometimes people like 75 are really sharp, and then some people at like 50 are like deteriorating. You need to exercise your brain. You have to, if you're just, and that doesn't mean you have to do it through your job necessarily. You could have a very like menial job where you're just like, you could be an assembly line worker, whatever, but do something in the meantime, like in your everyday, do like something to challenge your brain. Do a puzzle, something, or read, for a certain time period a day. And yeah, that one dude says smash. Thank you for sharing. Hey, I've been enjoying your stream. I was wondering, okay, if you're asking about if you want to do artwork or whatever, I'm actually interested in that. Please DM me on Instagram, The Real Skills. DM me on Instagram, Jasmine Jafar. I have 2 Instagrams right now, and it's not even the one I want. But yeah, if you want to DM me there, I will get back to you. But I feel like the stream is not a good time for that. All right, treacherously Hazard Stint. Yeah, that's tough, dude. I see a lot of young people kind of weird in between. Oh, it has its merits and I've learned a lot, but I struggle to translate that into career. So yeah, there's 2 aspects here. There's practicality, and then there is like just, and I will admit I'm cognizant of the fact that that this is a thing, but my personal experience colors me and it gives me this bias where I really look at education as like, oh, like it was great. I learned a lot. And now I'm, a sex worker. And so I don't really need to use my degree to make, that's not the case for the vast, vast, vast majority of people. So because that's my experience, though, that's going to color how I'm talking about this. Like, I do focus on like, no, you learn this and you learn that, without being like, well, what the fuck is the point if you need food on the table, right? We all need something that we can make a living doing. And hopefully, if we can find something that we are passionate about and aligns with our degree. But as we're seeing more and more, a lot of people don't have that, or a lot of people have, even lawyers, there's this false idea that lawyers just all come out and they're making crazy money. Lawyers do make decent money, but sometimes some of these law schools are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. These people go into debt, and then like, if you're not in the private sector, for instance, if you're in the public sector, you're a public defender making 50, 60 grand a year, you have like 400 grand in debt because you went to NYU or Columbia and you paid for it. Not the best. Hazard, Drizzle, treacherously, and Jigsaw, my kindred. I love this comment by King of the Hunt. You guys I'm so happy for the new people in here, but these guys I can always depend on, and I love it. And we have the best conversations. And, I talked to Hazardson the other day. I'm like, I love this, and I hope I never blow up too much where I don't. If I ever do, I'm going to create a private stream for just the people that have been here, like in this time period, because I need our weekly discussions. It builds my cognitive reserve. Pigeon Emperor. Yeah, Pigeon Emperor never came back. Too soon. We don't know. He hasn't been back the past couple of weeks. Wally, what's with the essays? Is your Instagram disabled or do you got another one? Just asking. Yes, my main Instagram account, the big one, was disabled over a couple months ago now. So I had an older one that I got back, and then I started a new one. So I have 2 Instagrams right now. I'm still working on getting that one back, and I actually think it's actually coming back this week. They promised me. So then I'll have 3. And then every other one you see will be fake. Literally all the APs in my office have a book with different criminal codes. Everyone in Jasmine, I received intel from a friend that has 3 kids and yeah. I've heard about that. This is I want to do maybe a stream about this, but a stream like that I want to be really educated for. Like I don't want to just say things to say things. I like topics like that. I want to come in with like prepared. Something like this, I'm like, oh, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think a degree is worth it or not worth it? I'm not going to come into a stream and be like, oh, do you think we should secure or not secure school? You know, that's just a different type of thing. But most people who would get a degree in philosophy don't think about going into law school and after getting their undergraduate degree. I see your point, but that's up to the individual to then to the LSAT and go to law school to become a lawyer. Yeah, I agree 100%. I was just watching a video of a girl because I just quickly, as I was getting ready, I'm like, what can I like listen to about this that can maybe help me gain perspective? And it was interesting that some European students, like people in Norway or Scandinavian countries, were talking about how it was surprising that people in America think like getting a philosophy degree is such a waste, because in those countries, since they have a better like social safety net, and a lot of people actually go get degrees and they're not degrees because they're going to use those degrees to make a living in a capitalist society, and school's free there. That's the difference too. Imagine if school was free, would you go? You know, that makes a big difference when you're thinking about it. So for her, she's like, yeah, I'm getting a philosophy degree in Norway. It's free. And no, I don't need it really to get a job because I want to do X and I'm able to do that in Norway. You know, she's like, yeah, if I was in the US or in the UK where I was paying that much for, I wouldn't get it. So in that way, it's kind of sad, you know, that, schools are, especially with how expensive they are, like it is absurd. Like it is absurd to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for your degree unless you're definitely going to make that back. I'm a published author for research. It still requires a lot of formal training to organize your research into something that will actually get in front of people's eyes. Yes. And, people do, especially studies say, experts say, peer-reviewed journal, but there is a process. The scientific method and the process is there for a reason, and it's the best thing we have to make sure we get the best information. That doesn't mean we're 100% right. Doesn't mean that something may not come out later that may, in science, you can get proven wrong all the time as long as you have better evidence. That's kind of what separates it from religion, a lot of people say, which I agree with. But it is a rigorous process to be like, this is accurate information. We did this study. Now the study can be replicated. It's falsifiable. It's been peer reviewed. These things matter. And I feel like more and more the conspiracy theory because the pandemic was handled so poorly. And I think there was a lot of corruption and stuff going on behind the scenes that rightfully made people lose trust, made the public lose trust in these experts. 100%. But I wish they wouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater and be like, okay, yes, big pharma sucks. Yes, Fauci sucks too. Blah, blah, blah. He did things he shouldn't have done. They weren't honest with the public on X, Y, and Z or whatever. But at the same time, without being like, well, no, science matters. Or just because it was brand new and we didn't know everything about it right away because we've never dealt with it before and maybe we got a couple things wrong, that doesn't now mean that this field of medicine is a joke because they didn't get everything right away when it was something so novel, My work is a lot more interesting and fulfilling because of my educational background. Yeah. So I think there's no right answer. That's why I put this as like, oh, is a degree worth it? Doesn't mean I was going to come on here and be like, you know what the answer is? Yes or no. I think it depends on the situation. But I will say that a lot of us were taught, especially people that come from backgrounds like mine, that it is the end all be all. You must do it. If you don't do it, you're going to live in a box and your life's going to be pointless. And you want the prestige and you don't want to be uneducated. Uneducated and being educated simply means you have this fancy piece of paper. You don't, that's not that. I think a lot of us are being like, oh, no. But then the other end of it is that going to school at all is stupid and you're just going to get indoctrinated and you're going to learn critical race theory and it's a joke. So clearly those are the two ends of the spectrum. I think the truth, like with many things, somewhere in the middle. Moderator says there are so many layers to getting a scientific study published. So many people have to read it and accept it. Kudos to treacherously. Yes, kudos to treacherously. Yeah, scientific papers. So the fact that people have opinions on things without even trying to read those papers, and then, or people who read those papers and think they fully understand them without a background in this, you know, those are things that, and it's always like, you know, the person that can't even spell half the time that is like, oh, you know, I don't care that this is what the scientists are saying. Like there's no climate change because it's like warm or whatever, or it's cold. Okay, let me see where I am. I think I'm about 20 minutes behind still on these. But I don't think 4 years and thousands of dollars to learn critical thinking. I would love to just learn new things, but practically speaking, it's not worth it. Yes, agree. It is not worth 4 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars if it's not going to give you a return on that investment. And there are plenty of other ways you can develop your critical thinking skills without going to school, but school is one way. So, but it's not the only way. And that's kind of that's, I think my takeaway is it's great. It will teach you great things, but you also have to look at the cons. And if the cons are waste of like 4 years of your life not making money and then being in debt, then use another path. That's what you want to be. If you want to be a lawyer, you've got to go to law school, you know. But if you want to be, I don't know, you know, if you don't need to go get a, oh, sorry, my dad is always interrupting my stream. Man, fuck them kids. If people paid me for posting my sweet cock on the web, I'd feel better about pursuing pointless degrees for my pleasure. Very true. So if you guys are wondering why when my physical deteriorates and you guys are sick of seeing me busted open on camera, why I'm going to go get a PhD in psych for my pleasure, that's why. Because for many years I would have, you know, hopefully have financial stability. And now I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? So I do understand I'm coming at it from that perspective, but that's why I'm also opening up to discussion, because I'm not saying that that's the case for, I literally think that's the case for I'm 0.01% OnlyFans. So I'm going to say 0.01% of the population. Just gave myself a little, you guys hear that little braggadocious right there. It's disheartening that it happened. That being said, it's become so common. Okay, so we're talking about the shooting. Yeah, it's heavy stuff. So I think a lot of people who are worried about my kids in 4040 seeing my OnlyFans, and they, you know, the haters that act like this is their main concern, they comment on my stuff. Oh my God, I feel so bad for your future kids. Your future kids. I'm like, you know, there's real kids right now that are, you know, I'm more scared that my kids is going to get slaughtered in school and come up on my OnlyFans personally, you know. Who knows what the state of things will be by then. Oh, he wasn't talking about the school shooting. He was talking about Jasmine having her own kids. Oh yeah, no. Okay, I did a for people that don't understand the context, I did a reel on my Instagram, and it's that, man, fuck them kids and fuck you too. And I put the caption is when people ask me about how my kids will feel about my OnlyFans. So that's what he was referring to. He wasn't saying fuck those kids about the shooting. I hope nobody took it that way. Or I know I'm behind on this, but I'm just clarifying that. As you say it, get to a point where you're thankful of the push and effort you have to put in. If I was a different person when I finished my major, I'm assuming, where I live and studied, if I didn't develop character and the mentality of getting to projects of scary proportions, I would just drop out. Yeah. Sorry for your English. No, your English is great. Happy you're here, wherever, whatever your first language is. Yeah, I mean, people say like college is sometimes people say like that's why some people don't like homeschooling people either, because you can learn, and homeschool kids actually seem to perform just as well academic wise, but you maybe if you don't also create avenues for them to develop social skills and networking, etc. Those are also skills that I think sometimes being in a school environment can teach you. But again, it's not the only way. Like we talk about when it comes to religion, and religious people have community. Community is great. It will really increase your happiness. Religious people are happier than non-religious people, probably because they have that community. But that doesn't mean that we atheists, I don't know you guys, can't have that community too. It just means that we have to find it in other ways. It may not be as readily accessible. I'm currently trying to claw my way up because I'm trying to get myself to a place I want to be. Well, I had some support from family. They didn't know how to support and encourage me. Sometimes it backfired, came off wrong. Law school in and of itself is kind of rewarding. Yes. So, I mean, that's the thing. I'm in law school. King of the Hunt either graduated or is in law school. And we were there for completely different reasons, and we felt completely differently about ourselves. For me, I felt less confident being there because I knew I was only there to appease my parents, and I felt like I couldn't do anything else. For other people whose parents didn't encourage them or support them and they took that initiative themselves, it could be such a empowering and freeing and confidence boosting experience. So everybody's kind of different, you know? Independent learning by itself, like homeschooling and DIY attitude, are good in many ways. But if I'm in a room with a book about chemistry and a bunch of talented chemists, I'm going to want to learn from the chemist rather than just read the chemistry myself. Yes. Exactly. If I need surgery, I want somebody who went to school, did residency, instead of read or watched YouTube videos on how to do the surgery, you know? So it depends on what it is and how much skill and expertise is required for it. And if the more complex something is, the more of that we want, right? I know we're proud of King of the Hunt. I love your story. I agree. There's no way to challenge your own biases and preconceptions without a community of scholars. Yes. And I will say, like, I'm weird in many ways. This is one of the ways where I think I'm like somebody that literally confirmation bias, like the opposite. Like I consistently try to, like I'm like embarrassed. I have my TV, and if it connects to my YouTube channel and a random person comes over, they would think that I am a completely different person than I am, because I make it a point to consume as much information that I don't agree with as possible, because I'm weird like that. But most people aren't, and most people are going to be kind of in an echo chamber. And even people that I agree with on a lot of things, when I hear the way they argue and I hear the way that they break down things, I can tell that they haven't heard the best arguments on the other side. And I make it a point to know those things. So I feel like I can argue a lot better without saying something that somebody could have a really great response to, because I've heard that response before. Jasmine, I want you to know that you are amazing being not clothed on Reddit and Twitter. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. It's a lot of work, and I'm attempting to get through it while having a full-time job. Well, and thank you for still making my stream, because I know that's a lot of work, and I'm so happy to have you as part of here supporting me. And I know you consume my other content as well. And if my DMs are always open to you, not if I can help in any way. There's a lot of elite schools that post free online material. Coursera, I've never heard of that, is a good resource too. Yeah, honestly, I will say that when I was doing legal, like if I need legal research, Westlaw, and what's the other one, guys? I actually use the other one more. I don't know King of the Hunt. What is the other big search? I hardly ever even use Westlaw. I always use the other one, but whatever it was. I would first Cornell. I feel like Cornell will break down shit on their page, and I would always use that and then find like a legitimate reference. You know, those of who in college got all their information from Wikipedia and then just had looked at the things Wikipedia, and then if those were legit, you would source to that, but you learned off of Wikipedia. I was one of them. My degree helped get my foot in the door. College just gave the fundamentals, and it was up to me on applying it in the real world. Yes, I think that can be true. Philosophers for government leadership. Philosophers, I think we would be in a much better place. But a lot of philosophers, you know what they say, the best person for the job is the person that doesn't want it, which obviously isn't how our system works. Are you Arab? I am Persian. That's a good point. The fact that we are required to weigh the monetary value of the degree versus pursuing what interests us intellectually can lead us to a society of not finding the true passion or path that the person was best fit for. Yeah, it creates imagine what we would do or what you would pursue if you could go to school for free and you had time. What would you study? It may be different than what you're doing now because you need, obviously, to make a living off of it, which is why I so recognize the privilege I have being able to do something that can give me that fine monetary value, and then being okay, well, now I want to pursue things that I'm interested in. But I've lived both ways, kind of, right? So I get it. Yeah, the push for rejecting everything is ridiculous. Yeah, fuck gravity. That's what's been getting us down. Whether college is free or not, I love school and learning, so I'm always trying to go back. I just finished an MBA program. I was hoping to go back to school for a few years to get my doctorate degree. Yeah, you're very much like me. I love the experience of being in school. So, which is why I was in school for so long, and I started an OnlyFans account the second school ended. I didn't realize it, but the more I think about it, I'm I feel subconsciously something in me was oh, well, you finished school and now you liked it, but now but I know that's an avenue that's not available to everybody, and it's an avenue a lot of people won't take because I'm not saying it's perfect. There's backlash, there's a lot of things you deal with, it's a controversial decision, but it was right for me. Hey Jasmine, I like your haircut. Thank you. This is my natural hair. Every time I think I'm getting close, I'm actually only 10 minutes behind. Okay. For example, a lot of higher ed math majors end up in the financial world because they can apply their knowledge to make huge profits versus pursuing mathematical principles and pushing the field further. Yeah. There are skills, and I know again, my law school has not contacted me to talk to the 1Ls about this, but they do tell us over and over and over again that you can use your JD in so many ways. You can use it. You don't have to be a lawyer. You could do this. You could do that. You could do business. You could do whatever. They never say sex work, but hey, we're doing something new here. By bringing up CRT, ironically, more people will feel the need to look it up and actually learn it. Well, good, because there's so much misinformation about CRT, I think, that I would love for people to actually, you guys, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, okay, for a lot of my life. And the most liberal, I was a West Coast baby my whole life. So if CRT is going to be rampant anywhere, it's going to be there. And I did not learn it till a philosophy class. Well, we were doing a legal jurisprudence class in college, and I learned about critical race theory. Did not learn it in elementary school or wherever. Again, I'm 28, don't know what's going on in schools now, but I don't think people who critical race theory is not teaching. It's like a whole thing, and it actually started in legal jurisprudence. So people just have a big misconception of what it is, and they think it's going to kindergartners and separating them by race and then telling the Black kids that those kids oppressed you. I don't see, this isn't happening, and I don't see it happening. I think it's one of those things that it's one of those just crazes people come up with that isn't legitimate. Honestly, I'd sub to an OF that's literally just a chat like this. I mean, OF is more than porn. Thank you. We do a lot of porn on OnlyFans, but that's why I usually like my Monday fun day. So today we can't do Monday fun day, but we'll do the fun day part later, and next week we should be back on track. Hey, Jazz, you earned those humble back. Thank you. Put some money aside to fully fund that doctoral degree in psych. Super dope goal. Thank you. I plan on it. Feel bad for kids? Adopt one. Yeah, if you feel so bad for kids, there's kids being abused, neglected. We'll go, go. There's plenty of times, ways you can donate, help, volunteer, foster. I don't think these people are actually worried about kids. I think they're just upset at what I do and want to say something. I think it shows societal misogyny that the comment you get is about your future kids when they wouldn't post that under male sex workers like Johnny Sins. Yeah, because I guess if you're a young kid and seeing your dad on porn, as if you're like 14 and your dad does it, it's like fine. But if your mom does it, everyone needs a balance of book smarts and street smarts. I agree. I'm more book smart. My street smarts are not the greatest. I don't know how to develop those skills, guys. I guess I got to spend more. I think you guys spend more time in the streets. I grew up very privileged and also not very, very privileged, but privileged and sheltered culturally because my parents thought I would die every time I left the house. They still do. So I guess my dummy's book to surgery would help me, huh? I don't know. If I needed surgery, I wouldn't trust you based off of your book. Yeah, but Jazz's mommy milkers deserve to nurse the next generation of critical thinkers. Yes, mommy milkers. Okay. Said it once and I'll say it again. Man, fuck them kids. Did you donate to Wikipedia? I have never donated to Wikipedia, but every time that comes up, I'm weirdly tempted because the way you guys know how Wikipedia asks you, hey, can you please just donate $1? I'm like, I probably should, but I don't. I want to skip it because if I'm on Wikipedia, I'm trying to learn some shit. Can y'all make a promise to pray for Nashville tonight? And Jasmine, I know you don't believe in God, but can you pray at least once for the Nashville children? I wish my heart goes out to everybody affected by this in Nashville, but I would like to maybe contribute in a more substantive way that for me than praying. I don't think praying does anything personally other than make the person praying feel better. And our studies do not show that prayer makes a difference. I got the image, but I don't think it's a very kind thing to do. I think that's a great element. It's an empathetic thing to do. So thank you for doing that. I got the image of Spider Jess swinging from building. Oh, Hazard Stint responded to that, and I know he's going to articulate things better than I could. Respectfully, I don't pray anymore, but I do hope. There we go. I hope for comfort and healing for the victims. I'm going to start educating myself on how we can prevent this on a local and societal level. Yeah, so the issue with praying to me is, one, it doesn't work, and two, if you feel compelled to act and you jump to prayer because it's not always because it's easier, because for whatever reason, maybe that's how you feel like compelled because your heart is broken because you're human and you're a good person and you're empathetic. But if you didn't have the option of prayer and you were compelled to act, what would you do? Maybe you would donate, maybe you would educate yourself, maybe you would, whatever you could do, volunteer, whatever you could do. And those things actually are shown to be more impactful. So sometimes I wish that people would take prayer off the table. Like, okay, you can pray later, but what else can you do? And I think maybe people would actually be, when they were compelled to act, if they knew that prayer wouldn't be able to check the box, if they could do more concrete actions, Oh, trust me, the streets are wild. Oh, I brought up. Yes. Go outside and not just going through the Taco Bell drive-thru. That'll help build street smarts. Do you know me? Because I feel personally attacked by that, because I literally just go through the Taco Bell drive-thru in my life, especially when the nacho fries are on the menu. It's a done deal, baby. We're Taco Bell every day. I would donate, but I can't trust GoFundMe anymore. I don't know what happened with GoFundMe, but I've been watching the YouTube videos. My YouTube videos or videos on this? Either way, thank you. The best perspective I've ever heard about prayers, you should be actively involved in answering your own prayers and helping others answer theirs. Yeah, I think this is a great point. Nobody's telling you not to pray because I'm not telling you not to pray because I don't believe in God. I think you should pray if you want to pray, but I would also say, okay, this is actually something great to think about, is be involved in answering your prayers. and helping others answer theirs. You feeling? I get double chin on here. I hate that my camera, I can't wait to get like a new podcast set up because I don't know if you guys see, most people have it like higher up because people look better. My fucking laptop has it like looking up at you. Just can't find legitimate organizations who don't take a majority of the proceeds or some sense of every dollar. I'll wait for families to share something anyway. So do you regret your degree? No, not in my situation. I'm very grateful for it. I think it taught me a lot. I learned a lot. I think I became a much better critical thinker. It helped my ability to understand and dissect complex issues in society. It made me more intellectually curious. And like if I had just gotten my bachelor's and never went to law school, I don't know if I would do these streams, you know. It did spark something in me that I want to take with me forever. I almost wish I could be in law school forever. And that was kind of what I would always say. I'm like, I don't want to start, because I think the day-to-day reality of being a lawyer is very different than when you're in school and you're there to learn and you go to class and you have like a really heated discussion, debate. The teacher is using the Socratic method to get you to think. These are really nerve-wracking and traumatizing at times experiences, but they do help shape you in a way. And I don't regret it. At the same time, though, if I had gone to law school and I had been hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and I didn't have, you know, the avenue of OnlyFans, then I probably would regret it if I didn't end up wanting to do it. Thoughts? Okay, so my moderators asked me thoughts on the pipeline of aggressive push to college and primary school to predatory student loans to lifelong debt. Yeah, I think, I don't know if things have changed, but when I was, because you know your girl is getting up there, she's 28 now. It was very much college. Like I never heard of trade school. I never heard of apprenticeships. It was like you go to college or you're a loser. There's just no in between. The loans are 100% worth it. This is how you get a job, blah, 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 blah. And there was no other option available unless you were going to be an absolute loser. It was like everybody in high school, where are you applying to? What college are you going to? Blah, 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 blah. And I hope that we can at least make college just one option, and maybe looking at what you want to do, you was blah, 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 how much it costs, what you're interested in doing after you finish college. Those are things that I think we should talk about. I came from a time when I act like I'm so old, but in my time, even if you didn't know what you wanted to do, you were still encouraged to go to college. Like I remember my first year in college, I didn't even have I was just there to be there. Like I didn't even know what I wanted to major in. Oh, I'm just here. I don't know. And that was normal. Oh, okay. You don't know what you want to do. You just go to college and then figure it out while you're there. No, I don't think that should be what's pushed onto everybody. So I think that, not saying nobody should go to college, but that should be one option among many. And that should be what's pushed to people. This idea that you have a special fancy paper degree and that is all that matters in this world is so far from the truth. So wait, so you always hear on Mondays, 9:30 p.m. Yes, yep, unless something comes up, but otherwise that is the typical podcast time. And then usually after that, I go live on my OnlyFans right after. So if we're going Eastern time, it's 9:30 to 11. And then at 11, I go on my OnlyFans. And on there, it just goes as long. Sometimes it's like 30 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour. It just depends on when we all finish. If you catch my drift. Well, I plan to at least speak to all all school councils to the world about allowing kids and teens would have pepper spray in defense. I mean, sure. I don't know if kids having pepper spray on them in school is a great idea. I'm just thinking about I don't know about that. I missed debate teams in undergrad. I was actually really shy. I never did any of that. I would watch them, but I never participated. How many total years in college? Me? I got 4 years, my bachelor's, and then 3 years to get my JD. Only 28. I can't wait to be a future ex-husband. I make a point. I've been really, actually, this is a random tangent, but I can't help but be almost this narrative that is fed to women, especially in this industry, that like you expire when you're 30. And I know it's not true. And I know that, but like, I feel like I have been weirdly struggling with it, like internally. Just a random side note. Okay. I make a point of going back to my high school and talking to the juniors and seniors and telling them, please don't listen to what anyone says. Teachers, principals, parents. If you don't believe you're ready or are passionate about college, don't just go because they tell you to. Well, you know, I'm a big fan of people not listening to what other people tell you is best for them. If you guys didn't watch my podcast episode, Everyone is Full of Shit, you should watch it. It's on YouTube, Thoughts for Thoughts. If it's not on here, because I know Twitch deletes shit after 2 weeks. If you guys want to watch the past episodes, but that's what I talk about. That from someone who did what all of my college counselors, professors, parents told me to do, and clearly I like said fuck it and decided to do an OnlyFans because that's how much I hated my life. Don't listen to them because everyone is full of shit, including me. Don't listen to me either. Took me 6 years to get a bachelor's degree. Wasted my first 2 years. Doesn't matter how long it takes you. I think I'm going to train some teens on how to defend yourself from shooters. I can make sure new generation of children are safe. Okay. Whatever steps you can, I mean, anything people can do. It's very hard to come up with like it's hard to implement, let's say that, a concrete solution to this. And nothing's going to be 100% perfect, but clearly this is an issue and something needs to be done. And anyone who's passionate about whatever they can do to help, I'm all for it. I took off 4 years and then paid my way through CC. What's CC? And then trade school with community college. Okay. And then trade school with multiple certifications within the engineering route. Congrats! Honestly, you know what is really interesting, and this is not with trade school and, you know, people becoming like plumbers, etc. It's not a job that a lot of people coming outside of college, like, or high school, like, I want to be a plumber. But I even remember as a lawyer, actually one of the people that texted me that saw the article, we used to literally, because he would do a lot of, he was the guy in the office that did a lot of like business deals, contracts or whatever. He would oversee those. And he would be like, yo, these plumbers are like selling their plumbing businesses for millions of dollars. And they did this route. Like plumbers were making more than we were making. So it's not something that seems like a, you know, people say, oh, being a lawyer is so prestigious, so great. And like, you know, not necessarily, you know. And sometimes those jobs that you think like, oh, a plumber, they're making good money. Gotcha. Thanks for the clarification. What would you do if I magically turned into your toilet? Call the police, have you go to prison for life. Okay. No, kids are dumb and would pepper spray each other more often. Yeah, that's what I feel like, I don't know. I feel like even having, when we had even rubber bands, I was getting full, like it was I don't know about pepper spray. The kids will be protected from the adults and the teens will have pepper spray. Jasmine, I just said it in the wrong way. No, the teens shouldn't have, in my opinion, teenagers should not be walking around with pepper spray in a school full of other teenagers with pepper spray. Well, nowadays, I personally feel like a bachelor's degree is equivalent to a high school degree due to the fact that everyone's going to college now, getting any type of degree because kids are taught to go straight to college after high school, even if they don't know what they want to do. Yeah, except it's way more expensive. So that is unfortunate, but I agree in some ways. So by telling us not to listen to you, we should not listen to you about not listening to you. Got some philosophy majors. I'm just kidding. You should take in as much as you can from many people, but take all of it with a grain of salt, including what I say. Hey, yeah, is it Adriel? I don't know. What's up? That's what's up. Yeah, I'm glad you're in our stream. Correction, I wasted my first 2 years in college. All I'm saying is Mario could have been making bank instead of running around chasing a woman who can't stay out of trouble. Mario could have made a killing on OnlyFans, you know? Little cutie. I worked construction in a family business as a teen, made me never want to make money from manual labor. Respect to people that do manual jobs every day. I'm just lazy. Yeah. And I will say, like, especially people from other countries that come in and do manual work here, they have, like, I would say my dad was an engineer, but when I even see him do like projects, like if he will over, like he moved everything in here myself, and he's in his 70s, he's old. It's like they have this grit and this work ethic and this just, like, I don't have it, and I don't see it in a lot of people. Immigrants, they have crazy work ethic. Okay, so what will I need to ask the school councils to do? You don't, I mean, like, I don't have the answer. I'm not going to give you, I don't have the answer. If I did, I would 100% tell you. I graduated college. I also don't know the specifics about this case. I think the shooter was actually different than the normal profile we get. I think it was a girl. I'm not sure. So I have to read up on this case specifically and see what could have been done, if anything, you know. I graduated college in 2014 and it cost me $45K total, still paying it off. Yeah. Hi, question. How would you do in a cat fight, hypothetically? I don't know. I'd either suck or I'd be amazing. I feel like there's no reason. Yeah, so my moderator says maybe work on the root problem of gun control and not create band-aid solutions. Yes, I think gun control is a big, big component of it. It doesn't mean there's nothing else, and that doesn't mean that mental health or whatever and all that stuff doesn't matter. But I feel like, that is something that, and it's just crazy how little is done on that front, even though the majority of Americans do want tighter gun control. She snuck in through a side door. Apparently, she must have known the layout. But I digress, case by case basis. Yeah. Immigrant parents are the truth. To come to a country with little to no English speaking skills, to work every day to give their children the best of everything. Yeah. Immigrants. Oh, I have 2 immigrant parents. The things that they endured. They came after the revolution in 1979 to come from a war-torn country, come here, know very little English. My fucking mom used to be a lawyer in Iran, and then she came here, and she had actually given birth. I was 2. My mom breastfed me in the middle of the LSAT, like during the girl. Had my sister and decided to go to law school here, and she used to take her notes in Farsi. So the teacher would say something, she would translate in her head, and she would take her notes in another language. And she's very, like, she has this crazy work ethic. So when I would be like, I'm tired, I don't want to stay up and study, she's like, oh, just stay up forever and do it. I'm like, I can't. Don't take advice from your school counselors in public school. Why would they know how to make you succeed in the future? Just use them to get college resources, but their advice is meaningless most of the time. I agree. I've never had a school counselor that was like not horrendous. You guys should watch. I did a video on YouTube on how I used to get bullied for having big boobs, and not really as much by the students, although in one situation, yeah, but the school counselors, they did not like my titties and my little Abercrombie and Hollister shirts. That was like the in thing to wear at the time. Yeah, definitely. When you have to build your life from scratch, you work like your life depends on it. I know. And they're still like, my dad, like even with like broken English, he will go and he'll call and he'll ask the questions. And then my ass fluent in English, I'm like, can you call? I don't want to answer. I'm a pussy. Depending on how devoted they are, they could help research scholarships, for example. Yeah. So if you find a school counselor, or you find any teacher or any adult or anybody that really cares for you, and you find that relationship, sometimes it just takes that one adult that cares and is going to go that extra mile for you. And sometimes that comes in the case of a school counselor. Sometimes that comes in the case of a teacher. Sometimes that, could be anybody. Those people are very, very valuable, but it's not like any school counselor you go to is going to be that person for you. Gun control needs to be addressed the same way as vehicle registration/driver's license. It's an inherently dangerous piece of equipment, and at the minimum, you need to demonstrate safety and proficiency in use, maintenance, and secure storage. Exactly. I agree with this. I just talked about how much I love nacho fries, right? And it's easier to get a gun in the United States than nacho fries. Sad truth. I saw it on Twitter. That's nuts. Wow, huge respect to your mom translating from English to Farsi while the professor's teaching. Yeah, and actually one of the professors who actually goes to my mom now for her legal work in the state that my mom practices in, she one time, I forgot what she taught, but she asked my mom for the notes because she had lost the note sheet. And this was back in the day where notes were handwritten. And my mom was like, well, my notes are in Farsi. And the teacher was shocked. She's like, so you're taking notes in Farsi, another language? And she had two, my sister's 2 years younger than me. So my sister was like not even 1, and I was 2, and she was going to law school, and she would go at night. She would stay with us in the day. My dad also would completely pick up the slack. Like, he did everything he could to make sure that she had the support she needed to go through that. There's this hilarious story because we always knew mommy was studying and we couldn't go, like, when she was studying. And my dad was in the garage and me and my sister were in the garage with him. And he's like, I still don't know how you guys did this. Like, I was maybe like 4 at this point. My sister was 2. And we had figured out a way to lock my dad in the garage, and we took the chair. He's like, I don't know how you guys even dragged the chair. We put the chair over and we went upstairs to hang out with my mom. And my mom like played with us over a little bit. And she's like, wait. And she's like, hello, like, you were supposed to watch the kids. And my dad's like, but he's like, I don't, like, what happened? So we locked my dad in the garage. That's nice. Yeah, mine just hung around to get paid. Kids in my school out here depressed and almost offing themselves because of issues in school. No one helped me with college. I got lucky as fuck. Does it bother you if someone takes your content and places it on other naughty content? What do you mean, takes my content and places it on other naughty content? I don't get that. When you have kids in the future, do you get scared that your kids can find your content? You should have watched earlier in the stream. I addressed this. I promise next stream I will be far more serious and intellectual. My engagement was kind of burnt tonight. And I can only humor it. No, we love it. You guys do not need to come here with, like, you don't have to come take notes. I'm not grading you. Kids got superhuman strength. I guess we did in that situation. So I think I'm caught up. Anything else? This would usually be the time I'm pretty much switching over to, I feel like this is a law class. Yeah, I'm going to start cold calling. Trading JPL. Let's start with you. What are the facts of this case? Just kidding. But if you were grading us, we are getting an A, right? You would be getting an A. Pigeon emperors, though, or whatever. What did I call them the other day? Penguin emperors? Let's see. I actually do feel kind of bad now. I don't know why. But maybe we were a little harsh. I was, maybe. I mean, take a piece of your Reddit and make it a porn video on a video of your content and make it. So you mean people pretending to be me? The reason it bothers me is because usually they're using it to scam people. It's usually the case. Again, I do monitor the internet all the time, and I have companies that will scan the internet for my phrases, my usernames, etc. And they will ask me if I want to submit a takedown for it. So once, like, a week, I'll go through and again, I'm not seeing things that really bother me too much. But people that, okay, no, this pisses me off. And please, like, you guys, I cannot be responsible if you fall for somebody else pretending to be me and then you got scammed. I can report the page. I can try to get the page taken down. But, if people will send me pictures of me on, like, a random escort site and be like, oh, is this you? Are you, like, doing, like, no, why would that be me? And, like, even the caption will be like, all in, like, broken English, horny exotic that loves to suck your, like, balls, like, with my, like, whatever, and, like, meet me at Cash App me and I'll meet you in your hotel. Like, does that seem like something I would, like, or there's pictures of me that girls are asking, oh, I need a visa into the United States, and people will be like, is that you? I'm like, I live in the like, just, you know, I know, or like, and that will piss me off because those girls will be like, I'll cook and clean and suck your dick for a visa. I'm like, okay, if you want to pretend to be me, don't pretend I'm about to be cooking and cleaning for motherfuckers, okay? Because that's not happening. Like, don't use my likeness to be a fucking, to pretend you're gonna be a trad wife to somebody, okay? That's it. That's all I ask. I cannot be responsible if you fall in love with me. That too. Always a good stream. We definitely need to start a private group chat. Okay, I agree. Random chat has entered the chat. Chad, what's your body? Ha, love that. Well, I've seen some of your videos that are not on OF, but I did not see the creator. That are not on OF? You saw videos that are not on OF. If it's not on OF, then it's probably, I don't know what you're saying. Send me 12 Walgreens gift cards for Blue Job. I love how you spell like that too, because that's literally how it is. It's like always, and they're like, "Is this you?" I'm like, I am insulted that you think this is me. Jasmine, you want to do a stream about AI deepfakes and the effect on the industry? Yes, but I want to do a legal take on it because it's so new in the law, but basically AI and how the law is developing around that I'm interested in. But I want to do that research before I come to it, do a stream. Stream on trad wives next. That's a good idea. That's what my moderator just said. I actually want to, because I want to do trad wife reactions too on YouTube and TikTok. You're a lawyer, so I have this question. There's so much scamming online now, how to make money quickly, and they have no risk of being prosecuted, it seems. Is scamming people online really that risk-free in terms of going to prison? So prison, probably, but if you can, for instance, if you are on my OnlyFans and you take the content and I kind of have an idea who it is and I sue you, OnlyFans has to release that. If you use your credit card information to get into OnlyFans, then we kind of know who you are. And then, yeah, you can have repercussions for that. But with the internet, the problem is it's kind of hard to know who's who. But if you do know, or if you're willing to pay to know, then yes. Now, is that worth it? Like, because it's very expensive. Like, there are people I thought about suing that would cost me like 12 to 15 grand. And are they really making me lose? They're probably making me lose nothing. In fact, sometimes these leaks just bring people to your page. I was just in LA with the agency and their girls are making like 600 grand a month, like crazy money. And they were talking about this too. They're like, yeah, sometimes like when we really crack down on leaks, we see that their income goes down, because a lot of times when somebody sees your shit leak, they're like, oh, she's hot, I want to go see it, you know? So it's kind of a balance. Decentralized finance law is pretty interesting. I see a lot of things that are clearly financial crimes, but just have little actual legislation about them. Yes. I'm considering more medical malpractice after criminal law career, but let's see where this goes. But I also want to also get my master's in public policy. Yes, King of the Hunt. Well, we're all going to be here rooting for you, whatever you decide to do. I'm saying if I find a video of you on another site like OnlyFans, but a free site that has you. You're asking me if that bothers me. I could get it taken down in 5 seconds if I wanted to. It might. So most of the time, I would say it does not bother. Say Gare Bear, it's B-Day. Okay. Ant 021930 doesn't get the assignment. All right. Okay, guys. So this is usually where I end because I would be going to the other stream. However, today I am not, but anything else? Before I leave. Actually, speaking of, I'm going to start a Pornhub very soon here. And I'll be leaking my own things on there, but not the full thing. The full thing will only be available on OnlyFans. Great stream. Thank you. What fields of law did you study? So I did. So you don't study a particular field. I don't like to say exactly what area I practiced in, just for privacy and security reasons. Do you believe that AI/robots have human rights? Very good question. Very loaded question that I don't know if I have an answer on yet until I read up about it. And I like to be somebody that knows what I'm talking about if I'm going to talk about something. So I actually want to read the book Scary Smart by Mo. I don't know how to say his last name. That is on my next one of my reading list. You guys, I was listening to an interview. Was it with Matthew Hussey or whatever his name is? And he said something that like maybe I never thought about it this way, but like, you know how you only have a limited life, but you want like 80 countries you want to visit, and you can't visit 80 countries. And same with books. Like if you knew you could only read 40 books for the rest of your life, or like 10 books or whatever, would it like you get far more selective? And I was like, holy shit, because I'm always like, oh, I want to read this and I'm going to read this and I'm going to read this, I'm going to read this, I'm going to read this, but I'm not going to live forever. I know that's a common sense, but with the way he said it, I was like, next week, then I'll be waiting for your response. Maybe not next week, but have you considered bringing someone in with you for a stream? Yes, I'm going to be doing that when I have like my podcast set up and everything. I'm going to be bringing other sex workers on. My law friends, I said yesterday they were here. I was like, would you guys go on with me? They would. And yeah. Can you ever go back to Iran to visit family safely once you get really famous? No, I wouldn't go back right now. Absolutely not. Well, if someone did take your content and I seen it, then I like it. I'm just waiting for another sex tape. Okay. Well, I have a bunch of sex tapes on my OnlyFans, so you don't need to sit there and wait for someone to leak a portion of it. That's what I'm saying. Most people in your position, they would just then go to my OnlyFans and they would sit there and buy it like a normal person. All right. If AI can fail the Turing test, I will consider it human. AI is, I'm not a tech person at all, as you guys know, but the human rights kind of that element of it, AI psychology, I guess, is what I'm interested in. So I'm going to look into it. All righty. Well, I think we'll end there. I mean, it's like, did the monkey own the rights to the selfie? I do remember that. How does it feel that 2 years ago you had no social media and now you're everywhere? It is very odd. It is very odd, but I'm happy. I'm happy with the life I have right now. And I'm happy you guys are all here supporting it. So thank you so much. We're not going to do the fun stream today, but stay tuned. Stay on my OnlyFans. We will be doing the naked stream sometime this week. So bye, guys.